Hey everyone, Mike Guillen here once again for another Golf Author YouTube video. This time we are going to get into some of the fundamentals of what I want to work on as I prepare for the Parker Open and also the competitive rounds that I'm hoping to play before we get to April. Before we get started, as always, please check out my books. We have Professional Golf for the Rest of Us, as well as Stitched, the novel. You can see the novel cover right there. Decided not to bring any books with me out to the golf course. And today's focus is going to be on the uphill bump and runs. As I mentioned last video on the 8th hole, I flubbed a chip and with an 8-iron, and that's something that it's a shot that I really enjoy doing, and it helps me ingrain a lot of the fundamentals that that help me play golf, both from a ball striking standpoint and from a short game standpoint. So we're out here at the beautiful Silver Bell Golf Course in Tucson, Arizona. They've been open from overseed for about a month now, so everything is lush, but the greens I finally have some speed to them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the short game lesson. This will be a voiceover video, and I will see you afterwards for a wrap-up. All right, so let's get started here with this practice session. So the first thing that I want to do in regards to helping with my bump and runs, and I want to make sure that my alignment is good, but that really is more about my eye lines than setting up. I mean, we have here maybe a 12-yard bump and run shot, relatively straight up the hill. It moves slightly from left to right, and most importantly, what I want to do is see if I'm actually able to align the club properly and make sure that I'm not doing anything to compensate for it. Because when we go back to the previous video, I felt like I was actually aiming relatively straight down the line, but it was pretty easy to tell, even though I wasn't lining up the camera straight down the line so that I could see it. It was pretty obvious that I was struggling to aim more left, which would have been more square down the line, parallel to the target. So right now, that's a cute little shank there. So right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to see what adjustments I need to make to my alignment and making sure that my eyes are in line with everything. You can see here that there's not really much consistency as far as, so finally I move the alignment stick more to the left to compensate for the fact that while it's required a lot of club manipulation to get the ball to start, I've missed some left, some right, and when you only got 12 yards to go, that's not really a good thing. So it looks like we got a little more dialed in here, and I am actually making a conscious effort here to have my right shoulder, which seeing that not exactly small right now, and my shoulders are kind of lurched and slumped over, something that I hope to remedy in the coming months. It feels like I have to kind of open my shoulders in order to see the path, and I do that a lot, especially on short chips. But when it gets to be too bad and I can't even really make much of a rotation, much of a swing, I notice that everything is kind of a pull to the right here. So I think at this point, I'm pretty much set where I want it to. I think I make a couple more adjustments, but from this point, I feel like I can just make a very standard bump and run stroke, and the ball will start on my intended line. Now that we have our alignment set, we're going to start taking a look at some of the fundamentals that I try to incorporate into bump and run. A couple things before I get started. You'll note that I have a nice pile of balls there. I actually practice with two different sets of practice balls. And first, I have kind of like my A bag and my B bag. The B bag is really just an assortment of golf balls that have either are too worn out to practice with, and probably wouldn't perform well out on the golf course, and then gift golf balls that maybe aren't the best quality for tournament play or for money game play. And then I actually have an A bag that has Pro V1X's, all Pro V1X's. Now they're not the exact same models. Some of them are much older, and some of them as new as like 2022. No, and these are the balls that I use for play. And so when I really want to dial in, okay, how are these balls reacting on the green? How are these balls reacting based on this shot that I'm trying to play? That's when I go for that. But for right now, I still got a long way to go to where I feel like I can comfortably work on that kind of stuff. So really what I'm doing is just using the balls that, like I said, are meant more for just getting contact right. I don't really care about the spin. I don't really care about the reaction of the shot. I just care about having something spherical and that will have that I can feel the contact, and the ball will at least move forward the way I want to. So that's just one thing that I wanted to go over. When it comes to bump and runs, there are not many fundamentals, but these are definitely fundamentals that apply to a lot of shots. The relationship between your shoulder and the club head and the line that's created by that line is very important. You want to make sure that it stays as much of a straight line as possible. So you don't want to get the club too far ahead or have a cupped wrist. You really want to have a very straight line that goes through, and you maintain that line throughout the swing. One of the things I practice the most is I'll actually make one-handed swings where I'm maintaining that angle, especially on bump and runs. Very important. Now, you will see some instances where there's like one-handed chipping drills where you want to maintain the space in between the butt of the club, the grip, and your lead hand. So in this case, it would be the left. I think that's important, and here I'm demonstrating it. And you obviously don't want the grip of the club to hit your hand. But with that said, I want to provide a caveat and say that you really don't want to focus on the left, the lead side, the power side, as I'm known to call it, of a bump and run. It's really more about the side that's pulling, and because that's what's going to maintain control. That's what's going to help keep the club face on line longer. That's what's going to help you keep the contact consistent. So from there, we are going to next focus on ball position. So here I have the ball placed right off my back foot. So that's the strong foot, my left foot. And if you'll see there, we're really just kind of focusing on making a nice little pendulum stroke. It is a good way that I would say to look at bump and run shots is that it's essentially a putt, but you have the ball right there in the back of your stance, and you have a little bit of hip turn. I like to have just a little bit of hip rotation. Other things that I will do here is I open up my right foot just to make it a little easier to rotate through, since it is such a short swing. And then it's really just making a pendulum stroke. So ultimately the key here, and the key for me, especially when it's when I'm focusing on playing my very best golf, is I want to keep everything that's upper body, so shoulders, arms, all the way down, hands on the club, everything to be nice and relaxed and passive. And really what's driving the motor here is the lower body. It's my hips and my core and my knees that are really the engine that are moving the club back and forward. So if we look here at this shot, so we're actually going to slow this one down so that you get a better idea of what's happening here. So holding the club here, and we just draw it back, and I'm basically using my hips and knees to move the club forward. Now the reason why this is so important to me is when you're under pressure, when you are feeling tense, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to control things. And what that usually leads to is gripping the club tighter and not allowing yourself to make a free swing. And what happens when you do that? Well, you end up hitting your bump and runs heavy, or you end up pulling up on them slightly, which brings the leading edge into it, and then you skull it over the green. And this just doesn't apply to bump and runs. This really applies to any shot around the green, or any shot in golf rather, where your big muscles start to tense and take control. And then when that happens, your little muscles are the ones that end up becoming active. And little muscles are great for making things move quickly, which is good if you're chopping something, or if you're doing something that's really quick. But a golf swing is not a quick motion. It's actually a motion of big muscles and rotation, and you want to keep everything as passive and as smooth as possible. So that's why I try to make sure that my lower body is the one driving the engine, and everything else is just along for the ride. So when the pressure's on, I can take the equation of, well, my hands and arms are going to be nice and relaxed, and I am not going to try to manipulate it. I'm going to do what I do in practice, and that's just let my lower body rotate, and everything else will follow in sequence. A fundamentals aspect of getting ready to play professional golf. Let me know what you think about it. As always, please hit the like button if you like this video, comment and subscribe. The subscribe button will be showing up somewhere over here. Thank you as always for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video. If you'd like to see more in-depth videos like this, in the next video we are going to be tackling another one of those 4 fundamentals that I really wanted to work on from a golf standpoint, not just flexibility and strength. That'll come as I go along. It'll have to be a surprise for now, but I hope to see you next time. But before I see you again, I hope you're out there hitting some stiff ones.